committee members of GISA and myself, I welcome you all to today's lecture given by Mr. Gaur, the new speaker for all of us, introduced by our executive committee member Raj Parikh. I thank Raj Bhai for the same. Friends, you all must be thinking on today's topic, which is a real different name. And when we discuss, we have our speaker who is a highly qualified personal himself, started his career as investment banking, wealth management, and since last year he has started on his own. I would request him that at the end of his lecture to give a brief background so all of you, if interested, can get in touch with him, take an advice. I hope so professionally only. So with these few words, I welcome you all and I thank Mr. Gaur for having agreed to address our members, and I hand over the podium to him. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samir Bhai, for your kind words. On the outset, I would like to thank GISA for giving this opportunity to me. Special thanks to Samir Bhai, Pranav Bhai, and Raj Bhai as well for introducing me to GISA and giving this opportunity to talk about a few things which I have learned over last few years. So, on the outset, as all of you would be wondering that why I've taken or chosen such a different, intriguing topic. I'll probably talk about that for a couple of minutes before moving to the presentation. So, while the topic comes from a very trending book nowadays, it's by an American author called Morgan Housel, who wrote this in September 2020. But the idea was culminating even before that as well within my mind also. So Bejar Vishnu Satu, that was a very kind of different, unique year for all of us in many senses. બહુ બધી વસ્તુઓ થઈ which made us see things which never happened. We never thought કે આવી વસ્તુ થઈ પણ શકે and it happened. It also made us realize that there are many things in life which are very simple, but they are very difficult to follow or they are not easy to follow. And investing is one of them. So all of us know કે શું કરવું જોઈએ જ્યારે ઓછું હોય ત્યારે લેવાય અને જ્યારે ઊંચો હોય ત્યારે વેચાય. But it doesn't happen most of the times either because of greed or because of fear. And that's where the topic comes in, the psychology of money. Now, investing success mate, we don't need great intelligence, but what we need is a behavior which is suited to the situation. And what I'm going to talk about in next probably 15-20 minutes is a few of the learnings which I grasped from this book which I read some time back, as well as many of the things would be repetitive in nature. So all of you also would be knowing the same things and you would find it boring that I'm probably doing all those ghisi-piti line, but in some way or other they are the most pertinent principles of investing, and most of the times they would end up ensuring the achievement of our investing goals. So with these lines, I'll probably start now the presentation. Give me a second. And please feel free to interrupt me for any question or thought which comes in mind, else we can take a few question answers at the end of the session as well.
Yeah, we keep at the end of the session, please.
Okay. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, as I was saying, this is the book I was talking about, written by Morgan Housel. The book is no rocket science. It talks about behavioral finance, that શું વસ્તુઓ ઇન્વેસ્ટિંગમાં કરવી જોઈએ અને વધારે અગત્યની વસ્તુ આ છે કે શું વસ્તુઓ અવોઇડ કરવી જોઈએ. As I said, all of this looks very simple but very difficult to practice upon, and that's where the difference lies. People who are able to understand it and practice it both, they are at different level in terms of their investments than others who are not able to do it. આ બુકમાં એક જે બહુ સારી લાઈન મને બહુ ગમી એ હતી કે the correct lesson to learn from surprises is that the world is always full of surprises. Okay, with these lines, I'll come to the overview of what the book is trying to do. Basically, there are two kind of streams in our world: arts and science. Science is typically formula driven or laws driven. Physics hoy ki mathematics hoy, that is always defined by some formulas or laws. Newton's law of motion hoy to that is very much quantifiable, and so is quantifiable 2 plus 2 means ખબર જ છે કે 2 plus 2 4 જ હોય, એ 5 અથવા 3 ના હોય. While investing is not that law driven in nature, because most of the times it's driven by our perception towards many things. એ પોતાની સિચ્યુએશન હોય, માર્કેટ હોય, કોરોના હોય કે બીજી કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ હોય. So that's why investing is always called an art and not a science, because how we are going to behave એ વધારે અગત્યની છે, એ વધારે ડિસાઇડ કરે છે કે આઉટકમ શું થવાનું છે, rather than ki what we know. બીજી વસ્તુ, most of us would know about something called the principle of 80-20, कि મોટા ભાગે જે 80% આઉટકમ હોય એ 20% efforts થી આવતા હોય. There is a different kind of 80-20 principle with respect to investing or finance or markets also, and that is कि જે રિટર્ન્સનો આઉટકમ હોય એ 20% ઇન્ટેલિજન્સ ઉપર ડિપેન્ડન્ટ હોય અને 80% that is dependent on your behavior and patience. Okay, this is something which is very close to my heart. Luck and risk. Usually આપણે શું માનતા હોઈએ કે જ્યારે કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ સક્સેસફુલ થાય અથવા કોઈ પણ માણસ સક્સેસફુલ થાય, the credit is given to his risk taking ability, hard work, everything, but not to the luck. But on the other side, failure થાય તો મોટા ભાગે the credit is given to luck, that it was bad luck that he couldn't succeed. મારા ખ્યાલમાં for markets, for investing, for finance, luck and risk બંને વસ્તુઓ they are face of the same coin, so they go hand in hand. And many times આવું થાય કે જે outcome થાય છે that is not quantifiable, or probably it cannot be distinguished कि એ outcome luck ની કારણે હતું કે risk ની કારણે હતું. એમાં I'll give you a very small anecdote or story about it. Most of us know about Bill Gates, Microsoft's founder. Now, Bill Gates went to a high school called Lakeside High School in Seattle. आज સ્કૂલમાં બિલ ગેટ્સના બે ફ્રેન્ડ્સ પર હતા, Paul Allen and Kent Evans. Now, Paul Allen is also co-founder of Microsoft. So at the age of 13, when Bill Gates went to Lakeside High School, ત્યારે એની ઉંમરના દુનિયામાં roughly 30 કરોડ બાળકો હતા. In US, there were around 1.8, 1.2 crore students of his age. And any school, US, it was only one of the 3 schools which had computer at that point of time. Now, it's a sheer, I think, stroke of luck. He was there at that school, which had one of the first computers in US at that point of time, and our બે એના friends મળ્યા who were equally skilled, intelligent, and of acumen in computing as he was. And with Paul Allen, he could start Microsoft. 2005 માં બિલ ગેટ્સે સેમ સ્કૂલમાં એક સ્પીચ આપી હતી in which he admitted that જે હું લેકસાઇડ સ્કૂલમાં ના ભણ્યો હોત તો the Microsoft journey would not have started and there would not have been any Microsoft. Now this is luck. More interestingly, જે આ લોકોનું ત્રીજો ફ્રેન્ડ હતું કેન્ટ ઇવાન્સ, he was far more brilliant than these two guys, but he unfortunately passed away in a mountaineering accident. And in a country like US, someone dying in that kind of activity, the probability or the odds are like 1 out of 1 million. So that was bad luck. Now this is luck. The most important part about luck is that it cannot be quantified. So એનું contribution જે success હોય કે અથવા failure હોય એમાં ગણાતું નથી, અથવા it can't be calculated. બીજી વસ્તુ, compounding. So all of us understand the importance of compounding, that over a long term compounding does wonders. Still, at times we are not willing to give enough time to our investments for the compounding to take place. And compounding, the serious compounding happens over 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Warren Buffett જે છે, he is a classic example of compounding. અત્યારે એની નેટવર્થ અરાઉન્ડ 90 બિલિયન જેવી રહેશે. એ ડેટા થોડુંક જૂનો છે, I think. So out of 90 billions, 87 billions of his net worth has been created after his 65th birthday. Now that is the power of compounding. આમાં જ એક બહુ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટિંગ બીજો anecdote પણ છે. It's about IBM. So IBM had made a 3.5 or 4 MB ની hard drive in 1950s. 1950 માં 3.5 MB ની એક hard drive IBM એ બનાવી હતી. Now 1950 થી 1960 સુધી 10 વર્ષમાં it could improve only by a few dozen MBs. By 1970, they had a hard drive of around 75 megabytes, and the pace of progress was very slow. And then came Apple. In 1999, Apple launched a product called iMac, which came with a hard drive of 6 GB. And then suddenly the eruption happened, and by 2017 we had hard drives of 70 terabytes. So if we compare between 1950 to almost 2000, we gained only around 300 MBs in terms of hard drive capacity. And from 2000 to 2018-19 or so, the same thing has gone up by 60 million megabytes. Now compounding also works like that. Means જે chessboard ની example છે, that દરેક ખાનામાં if we keep on doubling the grains, that the number is humongous. Means if we reach to the 64th square on the board. So good investing is necessarily not about making the highest returns over a shorter period, because highest returns બહુ લાંબા સમય માટે ટકતા નથી. Means at times they will be one-offs. પણ investing માટે બહુ વધારે અગત્યની વસ્તુ શું છે કે that we should make good returns which are sticky and which can be repeated over a longest period of time. અને વોરેન બફેની જે સક્સેસ છે that is because of that kind of compounding which he has allowed his investments to take place. Third learning has been getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. So wealthy बनवाना बहुत तरीका है, means one can do multiple kind of businesses, can be in a very high paying jobs, can make very smart intelligent investments જ્યાંથી સારા return આવે અને wealth can be created. એથી કરતા પણ જે વધારે important વસ્તુ છે that is staying wealthy. So as they say, there are a million ways to get wealthy, but there is only one way to stay wealthy, and it's a combination of frugality and paranoia. So frugality essentially means that you don't overspend, you live within your means, and paranoia છે that you remain optimistically apprehensive about everything. And કોઈએ કીધું હતું that if I had to summarize money success in a word, it would be survival. જ્યારે પૈસા બની ગયા હોય ત્યારે પછી if you just ensure that you don't lose big time, I think you'll do well and stay wealthy. And any carnage, the Intel executive Andy Grove had said that only the paranoids survive. So someone who remains cautious, apprehensive will only be successful in that sense. Secondly, to make money or to get wealthy, one has to take risks at times, has to remain optimistic as well, and બહુ hard work કરવું પડે. But once you have made money, then what all you require to stay wealthy is the opposite of it, which is don't take any undue risk, keep the risks always in check, be positive, but never be too optimistic. Okay. What wealth or money brings to us, a slightly different perspective છે that money brings the ability to do what we want, when we want, and with who we want for as long as period as we want. So basically money brings freedom or flexibility to live life at our choice. Money can help us in buying time so that we can enjoy life the way we want to, and people can still work for us, and it can still bring us lifestyle benefits જે બહુ luxury goods હોય એ પણ ના આપી શકે. The most important part about being wealthy or having money is that you only do the work you like with the people you like at the times you want, for more importantly as long as you want. So there is no compulsion to work. Okay. So there is something called being rich versus being wealthy. Now wealth is usually invisible. Wealth is always stored in items which are there in bank lockers, in demat accounts, in bank accounts. Most of the wealth is never visible to us, and જ્યારે પણ we are spending money to show people that how much money we have, that is the fastest way to have less money. Also wealth is about income not being spent. So 1 કરોડની મારી પાસે ગાડી હોય પણ એની ઉપર હું હપ્તા ભરતો હોઉં, so then there is no point of having that show off. So most of the wealthy people will end up having a lifestyle which may not be of show off, but that doesn't mean that they're not healthy. Ratan Tata hoy ki Azim Premji hoy ki Narayan Murthy himself, they are a classic example of being wealthy and at the same time not being a show off as well. Okay. As I mentioned earlier as well, that the world is always full of surprises, and that's what we have learned in this last year. More importantly, the thing is that we shouldn't use the past experiences as the benchmark for the future events to happen. In fact, there can be boundaries, but we should use past surprises as acceptance ki એના નવો શું થવાનું છે મોટા ભાગે we don't know much about it, and that is something which always keeps us guessing. એક બહુ ફેમસ સોશિયોલોજિસ્ટ હતા સ્કોટ સેગન કરીને, એમને એક બહુ સારી વાત કહી હતી that in this world things that never have happened, they always keep on happening. I think in January 2020 we had never known that something of this sort will hit us in terms of this pandemic. The world had never seen a lockdown. કોઈએ ક્યારેક નહીં વિચાર્યું હતું that oil price, even though for temporary basis, they can go in negative also. But 2020 showed us that as well. And we still don't know what new surprises may come. 2021 will be kind on us, but the surprises will keep on coming in some form or other. Also, what keeps on happening is that times keep on changing. So what had happened a few decades back may not have the similar effect or influence on markets, on life, on economy. There is a very classic example, recent news hai. So in 2016, when US presidential elections were about to happen, the belief was that if Trump wins, markets will fall. It didn't happen. આ વખતે એ હતું કે if Trump loses, markets will fall, and it didn't happen. And now we are seeing some kind of unrest in US for last 2-3 days, and markets are still creating a new high every day. So અગત્યની વસ્તુ શું છે કે history can be an indicator, but it doesn't mean that it's going to give us a very clear path or guidance in terms of what's going to happen in future. જે મ્યુચ્યુઅલ ફંડમાં વધુ એક નીચે બહુ નાના અક્ષરમાં લખેલું આવે છે that past performance is no guarantee of future returns. That applies in life as well. So I talked about it that changes keep on happening, and જેવી રીતે with markets, with global economy, with world, changes are happening. Changes keep on happening with our own lives also. Long term planning જે હોય બહુ લાંબા સમય માટે કરેલી planning, it is now not working because what happens, the goals and desires also keep on changing. So what was the desire 10 years back, today probably it's not relevant at all. And આજે જે છે it may be redundant in 10 years time from here as well. So what we should do is that we should also come to accept the reality of our changing minds. The mind is such that it keeps on changing, and with those changes our objectives, our expectations from our portfolios, our return expectations, everything will keep on changing. I think of late, whatever has been happening, we see most of the times that most of the things which are being talked about are negative things. એ થઈ ગયું છે, એ થશે, and are negatives છે. So 80-90% of the times what we are talking about is pessimism. And even if someone talks about something optimistically, most of the times it's seen that someone is trying to make a sales pitch. Mota bhage je means a lot of say fund managers use karta hoy that everyone talks positive only all the times, and there will be substance in those statements many a times, but the general feeling is that એને પોતાનું ફંડ વેચવું છે તો મીન્સ એના he'll always going to talk about કે બધું સારું જ લાગે છે, મીન્સ અહીંયાથી ઇકોનોમી 5 ટ્રિલિયન થશે, ગ્રોથ રેટ 6%, 8%, 10% થશે, એફઆઈ ના પૈસા આવશે. There is substance in that, but the thing is that's always being taken with a pinch of salt as a sales pitch. It may not be like that always, but over a serious long term, optimism works well for us. Means in our personal lives, in our businesses, we always feel that આ વર્ષ ગયા વર્ષ કરતા I'm likely to improve, I'm going to put more effort, તો improvement થવાનું જ છે. I'll be here in next 2 years, probably thereafter in next 3 years I'll be there. So none of us would always think about any kind of degrowth, but we would always be talking about some kind of growth or improvement only happening. So that's the basic optimistic nature of an human being. But having said that, in discussion still negativity જે છે એ વધારે જ વેચાય છે, because the thing is that it's easier to create a narrative around pessimism because the stories જે હોય એ fresh હોય, અત્યારે રિસન્ટમાં જે થયું હોય એનાથી linked હોય, તો the natural tendency or the curiosity to have an affinity towards that is fairly high than something which is talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 years from here in terms of changes. So in my understanding, these three things make the biggest difference to any investor's investments. એ ભલે જ સ્ટોક્સ હોય, મ્યુચ્યુઅલ ફંડ્સ હોય, અથવા તો કોઈ પણ જાતના ફિક્સ ઇન્કમ ઇન્સ્ટ્રુમેન્ટ્સ હોય, that the savings rate have to be very high. So that helps in creating your own corpus, and when you give it an opportunity to grow over a period of time, that makes the wonder. Second is infinite patience, જેને હિન્દીમાં અથવા ગુજરાતીમાં તિતિક્ષા પણ કહેવાય. So essentially we have to pass through whatever the cycle, markets, economy or investments are facing. And third thing is to remain optimistic for long term, because things most of the times will tend to improve only over a long term and not deteriorate. So if we give enough time, I think things will be better off only, and that will help in creating better returns for the portfolio as well. Okay, so this is about myself. So I've been into financial services for around 18 odd years now. Worked with organizations like ICC Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and Centrum Capital. I'm a PG diploma in investment banking from ICFI Hyderabad, and I've done a program from IIM Calcutta in applied finance. Since 2019, I have started a practice of my own, where I advise and assist my clients with respect to various financial investments, and in a very limited fashion, we try to help our clients in terms of raising money as well. મારું email ID જે છે એ અહીંયા mention છે, so if in case I can be of any help to anyone of the esteemed members who are present over here, I would be more than happy to. That's it. So with this, I think we can take some questions.
Take your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Sunil.
Yes, Josnaben, આતુર છો પ્રશ્ન પૂછવા. I was waiting for you, and now Krishnanand bhai. Thank
Samir
you
bhai,
very much.
Krishna पर चाल से खाली.
Krishna, I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of our members, you gave a total different view. Why I say different is it was a theoretical talk in reference to big intellectuals. થોડીક પ્રેક્ટિકલ વાતો કરીશું તો બધાને ગમશે.
જી.
તો I give the floor open, and Pranav, can you આંગળી ઊંચી કરશો તો પ્રણવભાઈ જ્યોત્સનાબેન લેડીઝ ફર્સ્ટ, જ્યોત્સનાબેન થી ચાલુ કરીએ.
હા, એમનો ક્વેશ્ચન છે how much metal stocks and real estate shares will go up compared to Reliance?
So I'll not comment on Reliance per se. Stock specific may be difficult for me to comment on this forum, but as far as metal and real estate stocks are concerned, so metal is currently seeing an upcycle as a commodity across the world on two things. So first, there is a lot of money which has been printed in the Western world, and some bit of money is moving into commodity, and commodity was seeing a bottom over last 2.5-3 years. So there was already some kind of revival which was happening pre-COVID as well, and now with money moving in, the stocks have started to move up. Within Indian context, what has been happening that most of the government spending post-COVID has always been into infrastructure. So the government has really not given direct cash in the hands of the citizens, apart from those farmer help and everything. The rest of the money is essentially being spent on all these infrastructure projects across the world. Now, metal, essentially steel, becomes a very core part of that. So in that sense, steel stocks should do well, at least for next 2-3 quarters time as well, and so should real estate. Now there can be certain pockets in country so where probably prices will not go up, but otherwise over last 6 months the general trend has been that the prices have started to move up, if not very sharply, at least they are higher than where they were in February, March last year. There are a few selective real estate companies which are doing a great job, and they would be probably in a better situation than most of others. Someone who has low leverage today and can probably keep the cost of capital in control, I think those kind of real estate stocks will still do well from here.
प्रणव भाई,
हाँ जी, राजेंद्र भाई बोलो.
can Gaur Saab can say which is the top and what is the bottom in this 2021? Because every time when the you and Samir bhai is getting meeting, Zoom meeting, every time it is going top and top. Every time there is a crazy, not downward trend.
So then Samir bhai should keep on
the bottom.
Arranging these kind of meetings probably every 15 days, every month, and the market will keep on making a new top.
Actually, we have plans to do this webinars every 15 days. So
okay.
We can
I think
expect
Rajendra bhai has
every
his
15
answers
days.
now.
When there is a meeting, there is a teji.
Yeah, so that's why I suggested that now probably they should keep a meeting every 15 days. So there is always teji.
Yes, next question. કોઈને ક્વેશ્ચન પૂછવો છે? Okay, let's see.
Yes, anybody else? પ્રણવ, કોઈનો ક્વેશ્ચન આવ્યો છે?
ના, ચેટ બોક્સમાં પણ નથી. કોઈએ અનમ્યુટ કરીને પણ ટ્રાય નથી કર્યો. નથી અત્યારે બીજા કોઈના ક્વેશ્ચન.
Krishna, my question to you will be,
जी
if you are advising,
जी
what is a good 3 sectors
ओके
for the next year or 3?
Samir bhai, so 2-3 themes are at play, and they I think are known to all of us who are there in this meeting right now. IT is going to remain strong for next 2-3 years for multiple things. So this work from home, a lot of business travel being cut down, and people moving to digitalization and digitization. So a lot of small businesses who never had any server backups at their factories or office premises, people who could not access their accounts for a month and a half's time during lockdown, all such kind of things are going to really play a big role in IT as a theme doing very well even over for next 3 years as well. So obviously we can't expect that a TCS which has gone up from say 1600 in March, April to say 3000, it will continue doing the same way, or an Infosys from 600 to 1300. But the theme overall looks very promising even today as well. Second is niche players in pharma and API space in India. So I'm not talking about the big pharma companies likes of Sun and Lupin and Dr. Reddy's, but companies which have smaller businesses, but they have one or two kind of specialized products or APIs, which now they are getting more and more interest from their foreign buyers to procure from India rather than it being procured from China. That holds true for some specialty chemical company as well. So there are many companies which have 1, 2, 3, 4 products which would like command a 25, 30, 40% kind of market share across the world. Now, since the capability is always there, the same client will come back to them to start manufacturing 2 more APIs for itself as well. So and that kind of thing is already happening. So a lot of these small companies have gone up by anything between 2 times and 6 times in last 8-9 months since March or April. Again, having said that, it doesn't mean that they'll go up by 9 times in this year as well. There can still be a few, but it's difficult to pinpoint that the same company would do that, or there will be a newer batch of those kind of companies coming up. But that theme looks fairly promising. And third is infrastructure as a theme. So even in this rally, while we are seeing Nifty and Sensex at a new high probably every day, at least for last 10, 15, 20 days, infrastructure stocks have moved up, but most of them are still lower to their intrinsic values, still lower than where they were in the previous bull cycles of 2007, 8, 9. L&T is a classic example. So the price is still around 25-30% lower than what it was in 2008, and the profits from 2008 to 2020 have gone up by 2.5 times. So, and there are similar kind of other stories as well in that space. So broad IT, pharma plus specialty chemicals stroke APIs and infrastructure, these would be 3 themes or segments which still will do well over next 24 to 36 months.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Any queries?
Yes, Pradeep Bhai Mehta.
What is can we at present it is better to invest in the gold?
Sir, so gold again has seen a great rally in last 12 months per se. But there are 2 things which are still positive for gold. there is so much of money which has been printed in US, Europe, Japan over last 9 months or so, and it still continues. So another, I think, 800-900 billion dollars of package should get announced anytime in US as well. So when this kind of money is being printed, it basically should devalue that currency. Now, that has happened up to certain extent. That's more likely to happen. Secondly, with this kind of money being printed, it will bring inflation also at some point of time. એ 6 મહિનામાં થશે 12 મહિનામાં થશે, that is not known to us at this juncture, but inflation will come back to all global markets at some point of time in next 12 months or so. So જ્યારે inflation વધતી હોય ત્યારે gold prices also become a participant in that as well, because gold is considered a natural hedge against inflation. So any કારણે પણ gold price looks attractive. And a 3G vastu that rupee has appreciated a lot in last 6 months. So we are at a slightly more stronger level than where we should be, considering the situation of our economy. So economy is reviving, but I think the appreciation in rupee, and which again has been because of FII inflows, so the appreciation has been far higher than what it should have been. So right now, considering that, also gold price are slightly more lower than what it should be in Indian rupee context. So એ બની શકે કે 300 મહિના કદાચ gold it remains in a range, but for a 2-year view, gold still looks good to have some more exposure in portfolios.
Thank you. Thank you.
अच्छा कृष्णा, आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन.
જી રાજભાઈ.
मैं इन्वेस्टमेंट करेलू लॉकडाउन में and it was just an investment.
Okay.
And it was a trading portfolio which I had done.
Okay.
Now that portfolio has appreciated by 50-70% as on today. Talking and listening to your lecture, what I should do? Should I sit on the fence, be out of it, keep my money secured?
Okay.
And
Okay.
what is the road ahead?
Okay. When you had made the investment, what was your expectation from that amount which was being invested at that point of time?
Maybe 25-30% return in a year.
So I think you answered the question yourself, Rajbhai.
ના પણ એવું છે, what people say is by exiting you are committing a mistake.
I think we should be more loyal to our expectations and objectives, Rajbhai. So I'm not saying that you sell everything lock, stock and barrel, but it makes sense to rebalance, even if not exit completely.
The profit part or the entire the fresh investment made?
No. So at least take part of money away from the table. Take 50% away. See, the thing is, right now it's only the supply of money which is creating this kind of increase in the markets, and it is happening across all asset classes across the world. So equity is going up. Gold, though, has been subdued over last few months, but otherwise has gone up. Commodities have gone up. So it indicates that it's only the flow of money which is driving it. It can continue. So all of us have the right to be proven wrong. I'm not saying that I'm saying we are at the top of it, but if our expectation were 25% to make out of this portfolio and we are making 50 or 70%, I think the logic says that we should cut down.
Cut down the profit part or the portfolio part?
No. So if you invested 100 rupees and it has become, say, 150 for the sake of easiness, at least take that 50 away from table.
Okay, and not the entire 150.
No, because it can continue for another 3 months the same way. The kind of money which is being printed, markets can remain irrational far longer than we can remain both sane and solvent. So
But then I might miss the ride, no?
but what if it falls? Then we
Yeah. So that is why I'm taking advice from you.
So that's why I'm suggesting that you don't exit everything, but you rebalance it. Else there is not going to be end to it, because then we'll again feel after 3 months as well that again some upside may be missed. And I think very few would agree that it's possible to capture every last bit of upside. So that boundary condition has to be set by us, both in terms of our losses also, and both in terms of our expected profits as well.
Okay.
Now, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Now there are two different types of perspectives from industry leaders right now. Some are suggesting that Nifty, or let's say top bigger companies, they will grow bigger. So it's better to invest in them. And some experts are saying that it's time to move to small or mid cap stocks or funds. So how would you divide your 100 rupees into, let's say, large cap, mid cap, or small cap?
So if I have to put new money today,
Yes.
I think I would put 50% over next 3 months, and 50% remains in cash. That's first. And that 50% which goes in equity can be 30, 10, and 10. So 60% goes to large cap, 20% goes to mid cap, 20% goes to small cap. Now, why that? Up to a very large extent, what has been happening that most of FI money has been moving only into large caps.
Yes.
So if the flow continues, those stocks will keep on rising, and hence we may not want to really miss on that upside as well. But there are a lot of these mid cap, small cap companies which I was talking about, that they do a lot of these niche work, which is probably dependent on 1 or 2 or 3 products only. So they are not very well diversified companies, but they still have a couple of products which makes them a good winner. So and there are plenty of such companies in specialty chemical space, even the small mid cap IT as well. So some bit of these niche infra players as well, a bit of these engineering heavy goods companies as well. So it makes sense to have that exposure as well, but with a caveat that they will always remain more volatile. So as of now, they have started to run ahead of large caps, but as and when some kind of hiccup comes, they would be falling more as well. So with that acceptance, if we are willing to take this volatility, then I think 60% large cap, 20% mid cap, and 20% small cap makes a good sense today.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, anyone else? Jyotsna Ben Thakkar, if index goes to 2 lakh by 2030, then profit booking advisable, mid cap, small cap, hardly, honest management. So
પ્રણવ યાર રીટાબેન નો કોઈ હાથ રેઝ કર્યો રીટાબેન.
હા. હા, અનમ્યુટ કર્યા ને.
ના હજુ રીટાબેન અનમ્યુટ નથી.
હા, એક સેકન્ડ. એ જાત આ
ઓકે, હવે આપણે શું કરવું?
Okay, please go ahead.
What should you do in the oil marketing company and PSU defense sector?
Okay, so oil marketing companies, I think the best bet currently is BPCL because of strategic disinvestment, which is going to happen at some point of time. It has been delayed by 4 or 5 months, but the way things are, before March it has to conclude. That's what the feelers are, and it will happen at a substantial premium to the price because of the control premium which the government would want to take out of this transaction. So I think it's just a guesswork today, but currently if it's at around 400 rupees, the deal should happen at anything between 500 to 600 rupees in my understanding. So in OMCs, BPCL looks a good bet to be in.
And what about PFU defense company?
There aren't too many, sir. So BEL is there, and there are these few shipyards which are an interesting place. So Cochin looks good.
Okay. HAL, BDL.
I think that the in terms of numbers and everything, Cochin shipyard would be the first priority, and then can be HAL. BDL,
Okay.
I don't have too much of understanding of, sir, so
Okay.
I can't comment on that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If everybody else is fine, we conclude over here. Thank you very much, Krishna.
Thank you so much, Samir bhai.
Actually, one apology, we could not formally welcome you with a bouquet of flowers or give you a memento.
There is no need.
Sometime,
Samir bhai.
next time when we are in a hall, we'll like to hear you again. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Thank you and have a good weekend.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, GISA, for this opportunity.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.